brother's keeper, yelling it through the speakers, stepping over the follow, we never progressing either, never coming together, this dirt is getting deeper, never too late to say that I need you. And my brother's keeper, yelling it through the speakers, stepping over the follow, we never progressing either, never coming together, this dirt is getting deeper, never too late to say that I need you.
Okay.
Is this thing on?
Yeah. Brother Banks.
Yeah.
Jay Banks. So you did a session recently entitled The Breaks.
Yeah.
I like the Curtis blow that you hit us with in the session. That was real.
Break it up, break down.
You were showing your true colors with that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, you gave a session about the breaks and how God kind of gets our attention through different ways.
Yeah.
So give us a recap or give us the inspiration behind that session that you led with.
Yeah, I think I know I was listening to Charles Stanley, and he had I don't even remember what his sermon was about, but he had these scriptures, and he was talking about, like, he was just breaking the scriptures down, and it made me realize, like, these were different ways that God, like, gets our attention or whatever like that. And then I just was writing notes down about it, and then Dude Black in our group was he was saying, like, you know, God will make you break, you know what I'm saying, like a car, not like break down or whatever like that, but like
Brake.
Yeah, like stop. So that kind of made me be like, all right, that's exactly what, you know, I was trying to get at with this little session that I was putting together. So, and then it made me realize, like, you know, when we talk about, I guess, like, hearing God's voice and all of that, like, you know, he doesn't speak to us directly anymore, but how does he communicate with us? How does he try to, you know, make his presence felt in our lives? So that's kind of like, yeah. That was the genesis.
Got it. Mind you, this will get scrapped. I mean, we could edit it. Let's think of where we would go with that. Like, what would be the next follow-up?
So, I mean, I guess, so yeah, so before I came to the session, I emailed some questions out to everybody, and one of them was, what is your preferred way to learn or be taught, right? And I guess I asked that because, like, you know, God knows us best, and he knows, like, what works for us. So, like, maybe you may think, you know, like, oh yeah, I like to, you know, have diagrams, you know, but, like, I was trying to get people to understand a little deeper than that. Like,
that's a good point though, because when you sent out those questions like a week out in advance, which I thought was good because it gave us time to think about it. But then we got to the session, I don't even think we went over the questions, but that was just like to get our our minds rolling in that area. Okay, got it.
Yeah, because it was what is your preferred way to learn or be taught? How do you know that someone loves you? And on a day-to-day basis, what types of things get your attention and why? And so, you know, I guess, like, God's way of doing things is not like our way, you know? So, like, God may, like, bless you sometimes to get your attention, or sometimes he might, like, allow something, you know, bad to happen to you to get your attention on him. So yeah, I brought 10 scriptures that kind of, like, I had, like, I guess you could say, like, examples of the various ways that he gets your attention and stuff like that.
Did you? So I remember, yeah, you had legit 10 examples in the Bible. Like, did you compile that list on your own, or did you get that from somewhere?
Nah, that was all, like, I may have added a few of them, but it was from Charles Stanley's joint, and then I kind of, like, was like, oh, this is what's going on here.
Gotcha.
And, like, I guess interpolated it.
Interpolation. Yeah, gotcha.
This is to reading the album notes from Jay-Z.
Yeah, so, like, you know, for instance, like, in Judges 6, and this is 1 to 10, and we could probably go back and put the scriptures or the actual, like, verses in there later. But so in Judges 6, 1 to 10, this is an instance where Israel sinned against the Lord, and all their, like, material possessions were taken and stuff like that, right? And they were taken by the Midianites, and it kept happening over and over and over. Like, they would accrue stuff, And then the Midianites would just come and take it all. Like, it just kept happening to him. And the point there was then Israel cried out to the Lord, and he rescued them through Gideon, and then they had 40 years of peace. But it wasn't until, like, you know, all this stuff started happening to them over and over and over again that made them realize, like, all right, we need to, like, seek God now.
Right. So I have a question though. So like, where you're at in your life, like, how does God, like, just how you ask those questions, like, how do you learn? Like, how has God kind of gotten your attention, or like, how does he get your attention? Like, how does he talk to you?
Man, I think through like giving me like ideas to do stuff that aren't like within my capabilities, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that, where it's like, you know, tell this person this or ask this person this or just do this, and it's like, I don't know about that, but it's like, nah, he's telling me to do this stuff to like increase my faith, and then you do it, and then it's like, all right, that's worked, you know, stuff like that. How else? I don't know. I didn't think about this in a minute. I don't know, man. You go.
Nah, I mean, I didn't want to just jump in and answer the question, but I know that I think this is something that's very difficult. I know, at least for me, I'll speak for myself, as you know, starting my walk. I would hear people, you know, senior saints or more seasoned saints say, you know, oh, I heard God tell me this, and I heard God tell me that. And I was like,
what does that mean?
I haven't heard anything. Like, what does, like, you know what I'm saying? And here I am expecting, like, you know, like the sky to open or something in order for it to be like, you know. And I think it's easy to skip over the fact that, like, you know, it's like, you have to spend time with someone in order for them to know your voice, in order to get to know how they, you know, communicate with you. I heard it one time in a class I was in at church. This lady was like, you know, how do you know that your mom is your mom? Like, you know, so like fresh out the womb, or, you know, whatever. It was a matter, like, you know, she would speak to you. She would say things to you. You got to learn her voice. Now you know your mom's voice. Like, you know what I'm saying? And the same thing I would imagine on the other end when you're, you know, maybe a parent at a park, it's like, you know, your child's cry, you know, your child's like, you know, but it wasn't instant. It comes through, you know, relationship. It comes through spending that time. So I think sometimes it's important to go back and not necessarily jump to, you know, oh, have you heard from him lately, or like, you know, whatever, but just, are you spending time? Because if you spend time reading and really seeking him and chasing, you'll start to discern his voice, because it's not formulaic, at least in my experience, that he speaks the same way every time, right, or through the same mechanism every time. Like, you know what I'm saying? There have been times where, you know, he has spoke to me out of plenty, and there's been times where, you know, he spoke to me when I didn't have anything. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's been times where it's seemed more audible, and other times where, you know, it's just a pattern that kept reoccurring, or a thought that entered my mind out of nowhere, and then someone else came like with a message that it was like, there's no way that you would have known that, or like, I know that this is some way connected to what I thought I was hearing already. So it becomes a thing where it's like, this is confirmation. Like, you know what I'm saying? So
and it's coming back to me now. Like I was saying, even with the whole brakes analogy, right? You can, so if you're driving your car, you know, and you're braking, like, you can brake, you know, gradually, you know, come into like a gradual stop sometimes, right? Or sometimes like it's a real like abrupt stop where you got to really slam on your brakes, you know what I'm saying? And it's these different like, I guess ways, well, it's different each time that he gets your attention, right? Because sometimes you're not paying attention, and he got to like stop you so that you don't crash, you know what I'm saying? And other times it's just like, you know, something ahead, you see it, and he's just gradually telling you, and you're seeing it happen. You're like, all right, I can hear you, God, you know. But like I think with me, I think he establishes like a baseline with certain things, and sometimes I'll like something abnormal will happen, and I'll be like, all right, this doesn't feel right. You know, like I'm gonna take heed to this right now and just stop what I'm doing. And then like come to find out, like it'll be a reason why like that happened, and it felt like that, you know.
Got it.
Let me look at these joints again, man. How to elaborate? Now this nigga wanna hit me back.
I had a question. Oh, this is what I wanted to say though. So when you asked that initial question, like how best do you learn?
Yeah.
And when I thought about that question outside of the session, you know what I'm saying? When you just gave us that blanket question to answer, one of the best ways that I realized that I learn is by example. Just like how you were saying before, like learning from somebody else is like almost like a form of wisdom. You know what I'm saying? Like seeing somebody else go through something, kind of will. If you can take heed to what they went through, and you can avoid it just by learning from what you saw. So I think like in life experiences, a lot of the things that I know that I steered from is because I saw somebody else go through it. Like I had a bigger brother. I have a bigger brother. You know what I'm saying? So there was a lot of things that he went through that I saw it, and I was just like, all right, well, I know I can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he helped me with those things too. You know what I'm saying? Like he was a good big bro where he'd be like, yo, you saw the things that happened. Take heed to it. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah,
that's one of the ways that he speaks to you, like through other people. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
shout out the boy KG.
KG, all the way from Munich, Germany.
But it's like a big part of it is too like there's a lot of scripture, man. It's all throughout scripture where he's telling us to like incline our ear and listen to him. Like that's such a big portion of the walk. So like Isaiah 55:3, the first part of it is incline your ear and come to me. Hear and your soul shall live. You know what I'm saying? Numbers 14:22-23, because all these men who have seen my glory and the signs which I did in Egypt and in the wilderness have put me to the test now these 10 times and have not heeded my voice, they certainly shall not see the land of which I swore to their fathers. So it's like this continuous thing of like, if you don't listen to me, like bad things are going to happen to you pretty much. And if you listen to me, like good things are going to happen to you. Like Deuteronomy 28, take heed to the voice of the Lord and all these blessings will overtake you. And they list all these blessings. And then it says like, but if you don't listen to the Lord, all these curses will come upon you.
Very plain.
Very plain. And it's like, in Christ now, like the same thing applies, not in terms of like getting cursed and all of that stuff, but it's just as important to like listen to him and like listen to the Holy Spirit. But you know, he like we saying, like he knows each of us like specifically and knows how you learn, you know. And some people like I'm stubborn too, so
but that's what I was thinking too. I mean,
it takes me for me to like get hurt.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe we can get into the specifics, you know what I'm saying, if you don't mind, here, you know what I'm saying, with this. Like, you know, what are some of the ways that, you know, God has spoken specifically to you? I mean, I know you shared some instances with us. One in particular that I do remember had to do with, like, when you were dog sitting.
Oh, well, yeah. that was how I got saved.
But I mean, I'm sure there was God's voice in that as well.
Oh yeah,
that was Jay's road to Damascus.
That's exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if that's worth getting into. If that's something that you want to share with the masses, maybe they just need to come out to a seeking session. You know what I'm
saying?
Right?
But that joint is loaded, bro.
Yeah. I mean, but maybe there's something else.
Damn.
We're just sharing experiences, you know, seeking, empowering.
Right. Yeah, how do I?
Here.
Damn, where do I start with that joint?
Yeah, my bad. I ain't mean to put you on the spot like that.
I think Mo just wanted to hear that story again.
It is pretty compelling. I was going to get my
That
popcorn
joint
right.
takes
It's deep.
It takes
It's deep.
a lot for me to talk about.
Yeah,
that
it's
joint,
deep.
because it gets me like
In a
it
place.
gets me very emotional. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, maybe
So-
we'll save that for another.
Nah, but I'm trying to pick out the parts where like God, because he showed me a lot, man. He showed me a lot in that. Like, so basically, what happened was that I was dog sitting. I had been dog sitting for a while, and I had like a routine as to how I would like introduce new dogs to my dogs. And at this point in time, I had 3 dogs that I was already sitting, in addition to my dog. So 5 dogs in the house. And there was this other couple who was coming to introduce their dog to my dogs, but 2 of the dogs were going to be leaving. So it was like, I was just, it wasn't going to be 6 dogs in the house.
Yeah.
But while these people showed up, it was a lot of dogs there. So my usual routine is like to put all the dogs outside and then bring the other dog in, and then one by one introduce my dogs, right? I got 2 dogs. So this time, for whatever reason, I just opened the door up and let all of the dogs outside, not just mine, like every single one of the dogs. So obviously, like,
Hold on, this is the first time that you're meeting these people too.
I've never met these people. They're coming to
Warning sign number 1.
dude. Like it wasn't even me thinking. Like it was just like open the door, walk out, and talk to these people, and the dogs just ran. Like the 3 dogs that I was sitting, they just ran, right. So one of them was like little, and he ran into the yard right next to us. So I was able to kind of just scoop him up real quick. The 2 other ones were like bigger dogs, and they ran like across the street. So I yelled for them. One of them ran back in the house like on her own. I was like, all right. The other one just started walking up the street casually. So I'm panicking, right? And I just told these strangers, like, and nobody was home but me. So I told these people, like, yo, can y'all just go in the house and keep these dogs in there? I have to go get this other dog now.
Go into my house.
Go into my house, strangers, like, and I'll be back. Bye. You know what I'm saying? So I go take off up the street running after this dog, man.
First impression, I can't get over that.
Yeah, pretty much the dog, like, just runs from me. You know what I'm saying? And, all right, so the dog, this particular dog, she was owned by a dude who had just moved to DC from California, and he'd had her for 12 years. He doesn't have a girlfriend. Well, he might have a girlfriend, but like it was him and the dog for
Yeah,
a
they had that
very
type of
big
relationship, right.
12 years of his life. So like, when he dropped, and it was during Thanksgiving too, mind you. Or was it Thanksgiving or Christmas? No, Christmas. So he's going to Mexico to visit his family, and he's like, I could tell when he left the dog, even like he like hugged her, like it was very emotional, like I'll be back and all that type
like
of stuff.
Timmy and Lassie. Type
Yeah, it was
Marley
it
and
was
me.
it was deep, and I'm like, damn, like I felt like this dude really loves his dog. And so this is the dog that ran away, right? So I'm like, I have to get this dog back, bro. So at one point, I'm sprinting down the street, chasing her, and she's running and all of that. And she's running toward a dead end, and I knew that, right? And I mean, like, this is like 3 or 4 blocks that I'm sprinting, like chasing this joint. But I'm like, yo, it's a dead end over here. So she's running on the sidewalk. I'm in the street, and I'm going to cut the joint off. Like, it was like a cul-de-sac type of thing. So I run and I cut her off and I get her. Like, I'm like, good.
She's
like,
in your grasp.
Huh? She's in my grasp. Like, I have her by the collar, and I'm like, dang, like, whew, that was a close one.
Whew.
Man, that joint just slung its head around real quick and took off again, back the other way toward the house now. And I'm like, damn, this is getting bad. So it was at this point, because I was tired now. Like I kind of gave it all I had. You know what I'm saying? And
I was at the end of my rope.
I had on jeans, like, and like boots type of thing, like sprinting. And so by this time, now I start running again, but it was like, it wasn't working, bro. And
Gotta stop wearing them skinny jeans,
You
bro.
know, it was like, them yeans,
So whole time, whole time,
yes.
the couple's in your crib.
I don't know where they at. I'm assuming, I'm hoping they are.
Man, they upstairs. They done went through the cupboards.
Right. So at this point, I think is when devastation started like seeking in. Like I'd never felt anything like that in my life. So I'm like running, walking down the street, but I'm like screaming out loud. Like, you know, I'm cursing and stuff like that. Like screaming at the top of my lungs.
Wow.
And you know, because I'm just like the magnitude of it is hitting me now. Like I lost somebody's dog. Like and it's like his kid, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like screaming out loud, and so I just go back to the house because I didn't know where the hell she was at this point. I'm like, damn.
Time of the day is dark. It's like
It was getting dark, man. Yeah, it was probably like 6 o'clock,
that's
7
what I'm saying,
o'clock.
6 o'clock in
In the wintertime,
Yeah,
that's
it's less
Yeah,
daylight.
it was dark. So get back to the house, and the people had left. Oh no, I didn't even go in the house. I was still walking around the neighborhood or whatever like that. And then they drove up to me, and they were like, "Yeah, we're looking for her. Like, you know,
wow.
we're gonna help you out." So they were like, "Get in the car." And I was like, you know, frantic. I was like, "I'm so sorry. Like, this is just crazy though. Please help me." And da 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 da. So we drove around a couple times, and I guess like I didn't know Christ at this point, you know, but I was searching, and at one point I was just like, nah, I can't be in the car. Like I need to be out here going in backyards and doing all kind of stuff like that. So I told him like, thank you. And you know, I guess you're not going to let me shut your dog down. You know what I'm saying? Like, sorry, I hope you find somebody
Lost one.
better than me.
Yeah,
But,
a little more responsible.
Yeah, a little more.
Like they know what they do.
Somebody who got it
Fake
together.
their first rodeo.
They went on
Right.
Yelp immediately.
And so after that, I get out and I'm just walking, looking around, asking people, yo, you saw a dog, all that type of stuff. So then I get to like a main street on Pennsylvania Ave, and it's like rush hour traffic. No, yeah, it must have been a little bit early in the day because it was like rush hour traffic. So it might have been like 5:30, 6 o'clock type of thing. And I see her walking up the hill, just chilling out, walking toward me or whatever. So I'm like, damn, there she go. And so she sees me and she's like, oh, nah. And so she darts across the street and gets hit by a car.
Oh, snaps.
Yeah, she gets hit by a car. And I'm like, damn. But then
There's nothing funny about that. Bro.
I know. And then but she pops up and just keeps running. So I knew like, and she wasn't limping or nothing like that. So I knew like, all right, she's good. She just, you know, got pushed.
Might got
like,
concussion or something. But
yeah,
you
a
know
little
what I'm saying?
concussed,
Yeah.
but she was all right. Maybe some bruises.
Go through the concussion protocol. She right back in the game. It's no problem.
So she gets up and she's running, man. And I take off up the hill running after her. But then Fort Davis Park is what she's running to, like just woods, wilderness type of thing. And now it's like dark, you know. And she goes up over the hill, so I can't even see which direction she's going. So I get to the top of the hill, and people are like, yo, I saw a dog run that way. You know, I'm like asking people, and they're like, yeah, that way. So I run over there, but it's like the woods. So I'm like, and, you know, she could have went to the right, to the left. I don't know where this joint went. So I'm like just devastated, bro. So I'm like, I'm not about to search aimlessly right now. So I go back home. No, I think I'd called Rashida at that point and told her like, yo, like it's going down right now. So she left where she was at because we were hosting Christmas not the next day, the day after. Wow. So we had to, no, it might have been the next day, bro. December 23rd it was. So you asked for this story, man. It's long.
Edge of my seat though. This joint.
So all right, so I'm walking and then I see Rashida passing me by. So I get in the car with her and I'm like, you know, frantic and stuff like that. And we drive around a little bit looking for the dog or whatever. Don't find it, right? So we go back home and I think I like, now I call the service Rover. I'm like, yo, I lost this dude's dog. They're just like, be calm. It's okay. Like everybody who I dealt with that night was like really, really like cool. And I was like a little reassuring. They was like, it's all right. Like it's not the end of the world type of thing. So, they're just like, call the cops, call this one, call that one, Humane Society, all that type of stuff. So I kind of like just went through all the motions, did all of that. We got our dogs and walked outside, and we're like, let's just look. So she went one way, looked for like 45 minutes, an hour. I went another way, looked for like 45 minutes, an hour. Can't find this dog, man. And it's like raining and stuff like that. So it's like, this was one of those days where it was like, it was not a good day in general, like it was nasty out. And so we get back home and we're walking down the street and there's a cop in front of the house and put the dogs in the house. And then we start talking to the cop and he's like, yeah, like I put a APB out for the dog, but he was like, it's really nothing I can do but just like alert the squad that there's a dog out there. And then, but he was like, do y'all believe in the Lord? And we were like, it was a young white guy. Wow. And we were like, yeah. So he was like, y'all want to pray? And we were like, yeah. And so he was like, all right. He was like, come on. And we're in the middle of the street, like in Southeast DC.
But
and
when you was praying, was you like believing it, or was you just going through the emotions?
Desperate.
Because I
was desperate. Yeah.
Whatever works.
I mean, I believed in God. I was at a point where I believed in God and I would read the Bible, but I didn't care about Christ. Like I was like, I don't need the Christ part. Like everything else is, it's good wisdom in there and teachings and all that, and I could apply this stuff to my life. But Christ for what? I don't get that. I could live by the Bible, but I don't need the Christ part. You know what I'm saying? That's what I would say. Like that's what I felt.
I remember you saying that.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like what's the Christ part for? So he takes our hands and he starts praying, and we just like we got our heads bowed and he's just praying for us or whatever like that. And we walk. He goes his way, and we get in the car and we both just like break down crying because it was just like powerful. Like it was just this. It was just hope, you know what I'm saying? Like, all right, like God is, because during the part while I'm driving around, like I'm like screaming out, asking God stuff, like, what are you doing? Like, like, dog, remember how you were saying, like, after the first time you fasted or something, how you were like, you felt like you ain't want to eat no more or drink no more. Like I felt like that. Like I don't want to have fun in life anymore. Like it was, I can't even explain the feeling.
Nah, it's like the modern day sackcloth and ashes. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's really what
it was just like, life ain't worth living now. Like I'm not deserving of any joy in life. That's how I felt. That's exactly what it was. So I think after that, I was just like, all right, like, I'm going to just get up in the morning and go look for her again. You know what I'm saying? Like, what else could I do? I did call the guy by that point. When we went out with the dogs while we were walking, I called him and was like, hey, man, got some bad news type of thing. Like, I'm crying on the phone.
So you called him?
Yeah, I mean, I called him and was just like, yo, lost your dog. But, we're searching for her. You know what I'm saying? She got out, though. He was just like, all right. He was calm, yo. Like he was like, keep me updated. Just try and find him, man. All right. That type of thing. I was like, all right, but I know that he's like mad, scared, all that stuff, And he's like with his family in Mexico. They're
Can't do nothing about it.
Yeah, and the thing is, they celebrate Christmas, whatever. I think like the day before. So he was coming back on Christmas Day to pick her up. And so that morning I went to sleep listening to I forgot what book I was listening to, man. Maybe Galatians or something like that. And had great sleep, bro. Like the best sleep ever.
Exhausted.
Well, partially because I was exhausted, man, but I think it was also God. Like, the word says he gives his beloved rest. Like he gave me the best rest I've ever had before. Like I didn't have the dream. You would think that something like that would keep you up. You know what I'm saying? The way I was feeling. Like,
I was going to ask that too.
How can I sleep?
Yeah, like how did you go to sleep that night?
I slept like the best sleep I've ever had.
Wow.
And so I woke up next morning like, all right, and it was raining, pouring raining. But I was like, I gotta still go out and look for this dog rather. So I went out, and I'm by myself. I got treats. He called me and left voice notes on the phone, and was like, it was his voice calling the dog and stuff like that, right? Yeah. So like, if you just play these joints while you walking, all that type of stuff.
Yeah, that was smart.
So I'm doing that while I'm walking in the rain, walking through like all these trails.
To have a spare bullhorn. Like, how does that even work? Like,
I know. And I'm trying to like mimic his voice and all that stuff like that, and then like I'm just walking through the woods aimlessly though, like just looking for a random dog, not seeing it. So then I end up, this was an interesting part, like I'm walking through all these neighborhoods, and I end up just asking God, like, can you show me where the dog is? Like, and then it just flashed in my mind real quick that it was like, I saw like a brick house and a backyard, like a yard. It just flashed in my mind, and I was like, all right, that's interesting. Like, maybe the dog's in this neighborhood, but I didn't know where to look. But I'm just like, I'm gonna go with anything right now.
Right.
Big brick house, yard. All right, cool. Didn't find it, so it was on my way back, walking up the hill after like totally giving up, maybe walking for like 2 hours looking for this joint, and you know the I don't know, 2.5 or 3 square miles of where I live, and walking back home, and I was just like, Jesus, like I can't.
Wow, bro. Whew. The breaks.
Yeah, I was just like, Jesus, I need your help, man. I don't want to talk about it.
No, take your time, bro.
Yeah.
I told you when I talk about
No, we get it, but
yeah,
I mean,
man. Jesus.
but this is what gets the people going.
Nah, but I mean, seriously though, when you think about it though, it's like, just like Jason said, how he started out the whole session was, he knows specifically how to get you as an individual's attention. Like, he cares that much. Like, it ain't gonna be the same for everybody. Like, my hill to climb is not the same as yours, but he knows exactly, specifically how to get your attention. Yeah, like.
So, all right. So we.
Take your time, bro. Because I mean, like, it's crazy. Because like the whole time he's talking, I'm almost like getting like a picture of like how God is chasing after us. Like, and essentially in this you know, true story, obviously, like, we would be the dog. Like, we going all kinds of different ways. Wow. He might even catch us by our collar and be like, all right, you know, like, you get it now? Like, you know what I'm saying? And we still like, nah, I still kind of want to do things my way. I'm out. Like, you know what I'm saying? But it's relentless. Like, he's not going to ever let us. He
doesn't give up.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Jeez.
So I got home, and as soon as I walked in the door, oh, man. Because Rashida obviously was saved, and she'd been like wanting me to know Christ for years. So when I came in the door,
Why you had to ask that question, bro?
Man, this is what it's about. Sharing experiences.
No lie, bro.
but when I came through the door, I just told her, like, you know, oh, man, I can't do it, dog.
Take your time,
tell
man.
this joint right now.
Gotcha.
I can't even get it out.
Yeah, take your time. We could intermission.
I need an
Intermission. Got some refreshments in.
Say no, Suki.
Nah, I'm good.
Got some red wine.
So yeah, so I just told her like, I can't. I'll come to Christ, and
You said it right there in that moment, like right there.
as soon as I walked in the door, like I was like,
That Jesus you talk
gonna,
about.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say everything.
Yeah.
It's too much for me to repeat right now. But like,
I know it had to be a great moment for Rashida though.
so yeah, that's
Even in
what
the
I'm
midst
saying.
of all that.
We just like hugged and were like just crying type of thing. It's a lot. And then so then we were like, all right, so what do we do now? And we were still like, she was like, we can cancel Christmas, but I was like, nah, like we gonna have Christmas still, like we still gonna host.
Right.
And so she was like, well, I gotta go shopping or whatever, and I was like, cool. I was like, let's go make some flyers, because he was like, yo, make flyers, post them. I was like, yeah, we're gonna do that.
Who told you to do that?
The owner dude.
Okay.
I was like, so we'll go to Kinko's. We, she made like a flyer to get printed. We went and did that. And when she was in Kinko's, I was sitting in the car, and I guess she encountered somebody in there who just noticed what she was doing, and was like, they were like, oh, it's gonna be all right, like, that you're gonna find them, like that type of thing. And that got her like emotional, so she came back to the car like, real emotional and stuff. So then we had our little stapler, and she was I was just stopping like periodically, and she was putting the posters up or whatever. But then something told me like have her angle them differently in certain times. So like I would just be saying like, nah, put this one this way, put that one this way, put this one over here, like very, very specific, right?
What would you now say was prompting you?
Well, the Holy Spirit, for
No-
sure.
no
You know what I'm saying? And so we did that, and we're driving up Pennsylvania Ave doing that, right? And then we make a right turn, and we're going over by the library.
Gregory?
By my crib. Yeah. And phone rings. Unknown number, like 202 something. And I pick it up, and they're like, hey, did you lose a dog? And we like, yeah. And they're like, yeah, I think I found it. And I'm like, where you at? And they tell me, and he's like, yeah, I'm animal services. He was like, and I was on my way to another call actually, but I saw this poster. Oh man.
Wow. Bruh.
He was like, I saw this poster as I was driving. So, just come where I'm at right now. And he was like, yeah. He was like, so she's in the backyard, and it was a brick house in the backyard. And he was like,
kidding.
She's in the backyard. The owners actually, no, that's what it was. The owners had called. That's what it was. It's even deeper than that. So the owners of the house called animal services saying, we got a dog in our backyard.
Mm.
The dude sees the poster and knows who to call now about this dog in these random people's backyard. That's what it was.
And it was probably a poster that was just tilted the right way.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, you know
It
what I'm
was
saying?
just- It had to be.
To
So
catch their eye at the right time. Like, you know what I'm saying?
it's on Pennsylvania.
He's
Ave,
surgical
dog.
with it.
Like you're just.
Look at the
If you look, it's not like it's not in front of your house. It's in Pennsylvania
Avenue.
People just driving on that joint, but nah, he saw it. Maybe he's ASPCA type dude. He looks for stuff like that. Maybe, I don't know, but he saw it. He had my number and he had the dog, so I go over there, and he's like, we got to be strategic because if you go this way, she'll run that way, like that type of thing. So we strategize. And she goes and tries to run away, but I'm standing right there, and she's like trying to figure out where she's gonna go. And I just start playing the dude's recording, and she just walks right up to me and like just sits right in front of me, man. And I just pick her up, put her in the trunk, and not in the trunk, but the trunk of the Jeep.
Right.
That sounded crazy.
Body in the trunk, son.
So what's it gonna be?
And that's pretty much all of it. But there's more even that Rashida be remembering because my memory is sketchy a little.
Yeah, but I mean, there's so much even
But
unpacked
even with
in
that,
that. I
it's
mean,
a
like
lot.
the fact that like the dog knows the owner's voice,
Yeah.
like
Wow. Man,
you know
I
what I'm
missed
saying,
that.
and
I
it
missed
like
that.
it really draws a parallel to like you know what I'm saying,
Wow.
like so I think that's you know what I'm saying it was very important to like. You know, the session itself was amazing, but I mean, like to really drive home the point of like how you hear from him, different ways you hear from him, because I mean, essentially the story that you just told, I mean, that's what it's all about.
That's like he just wants you to hear from him.
Yeah.
And it was interesting too, like I know it was God because I came to Christ, but like he orchestrated that joint.
I was just
Like
about to say.
I was totally out of my character and what I did, letting them out, period, you know, out of my routine. And then he allowed for the other two dogs to easily just go back in the house. But this one was like, nah, I'm not gonna make you chase all three. I'm not gonna destroy you. I'm not out to do that. You know what I'm saying?
That would have been devastating.
You know,
imagine.
right.
I'm not trying to destroy you. I'm just trying to allow you to know me.
I'm trying to get your
and this
attention.
is you stubborn. I know you. This is how I need to do it.
And
I gotta break you down.
And that's love at
That's-
the end of
yeah.
it. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? So I was just like, hey man, every time I tell people that joint, like I get a new revelation, like what you just said about her knowing the owner's voice. Like I didn't even think about that part of it. You know, like it's the same thing. Ah man, but it's even more to it that Rashida she picked out that like parts of the story probably that I'm forgetting right now, that she always be like, yeah, but you forgot about this part. You forgot about that part.
I think even just in listening to it, like you just see like the great lengths that God goes through to
That
get.
was a good hour probably.
Nah, it wasn't that long. I think it might seem that long to you.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, you see like the great lengths that God goes through, and like you said, like He orchestrated that thing. So by the end of it, you can't put your faith in nothing else besides.
You can't say like, "Oh, animal control is."
You know
on
what I'm
it.
saying? Shout out to Animal
Like,
Control.
You know what I'm saying?
They held me down. They was on their job that night, even
was
though it was
not
Christmas.
manned.
Right. Hey, I think that police officer was an angel, bro.
That's what I think too.
I ain't even gonna lie.
That's what I think too, bro. But I don't know.
I don't know.
I honestly,
we live in a time where I don't know if I could just let that comment slide like that. You know what I'm saying? The white angel, God, policeman. I don't know, man.
So,
But that might be my own personal issue with the
I think
police.
so. But I also, but like just like how I like the fact that Jay called out that it was a white young guys, because think of where Jason lives. You know
Exactly.
what I'm saying? Like that's a rare occurrence in itself. But
it dispelled everything that I would have
you know what I'm
assumed
saying?
about him.
And also like what's the common factor between all of us in the spiritual realm is like we're all brothers and sisters in Christ. You know what I'm saying? Like.
Yeah, that's what
the
I had
word
to,
says.
I
There's
had
no Jew. There's not
There's
Gentile
none-
anymore.
no.
There's not race.
No.
It's not even male and female.
When it
It's
talks
just-
about Abraham is the father of a people, it's through his faith. Like everybody who believes is a son of Abraham. Like that's how we're all his descendants.
Right.
We're not in his lineage, but we
Yeah.
all believe and we all have that same faith. So therefore, he is the father of faith.
Yeah, I came to that like I guess I'm not totally there based on the comment I just made, but not too long ago I went to visit my cousin's church in Jersey, and it was more of a like very like, I mean, there was Koreans, there's Latin, Latinos, blacks, like everything. So the praise and worship was a little different. It didn't have as much soul as I was accustomed to. So, you know, that took some getting used to. But when I got past that and I saw how on fire everybody was for Christ, it made me realize that like this is probably more representative of what heaven would look like one day. You know what I'm saying? Like it's probably not going to be like, oh, African American section here, Afro Latino
We in the
there,
back.
shout out my Caribbeans in the back. Like it's not going to be like that. You know what I'm saying? It's what I imagine. So, you know, I think I have to, you know, work on being Christian first and black second, which, you know what I'm saying, is sometimes easier said than done in the times we live in. But I think ultimately, you know, we're doing all of us a favor. You know what I'm saying? If we think that way. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, I did want to get to the quick, 2-minute takeaway.
Yeah. That was powerful. I'm glad you
takeaway.
I know you was hesitant because where that story takes you, but yeah.
So
it was real good.
that was me throwing the alley oop to you, Daryl. The 2 minutes.
Gotcha. Yeah. So Jay, for everybody that's listening, what's like the 2-minute takeaway that we could all take home and apply in our everyday situations?
I guess it's firstly to take heed to the fact that God needs you and wants you to hear His voice. Like that's a common theme and a very predominant theme throughout Scripture. And there are the results of hearing His voice. If you read Deuteronomy 28, is that you'll be blessed. Basically, He wants to bless you, and it's a result of being obedient to Him and listening to Him, right? And then I guess the other part of it is that He knows you and He knows what you are going to respond to, and He knows just how you're going to hear Him best. But it may not be something that you prefer. You may not like it while you're going through it or whatever, but it's for the best. But yeah, I guess every day just seek to hear Him.
And not just bless you, but I think the word says exceedingly, abundantly.
Yeah.
Like saying those are major adjectives.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And what I got from that too is that He uses all things for your benefit.
And I mean, another part of this story, right, is that other weird stuff after that started happening, right? So I feel like He needed to let me know, my bad. He needed to let me know that it was like, no, this is me. So I went to this is before we were doing Seeking, or y'all had been doing it maybe like once or twice, but I was going to my other small group.
I remember that.
And went in that joint, got there a little late, and they were watching a video series this one time. And they put it on, and the dude started talking, and he was like, yeah. He was like, I had this experience with God where I was watching someone's dog and I lost it, and then I found it, and I realized, God led me to the dog. It was literally like what happened to me like
confirmation
last week.
It's crazy.
And I was like, this is freaky.
Yeah.
But it was like, it was just him telling me like, do not doubt.
Don't doubt.
That confirmation always
This
comes.
was a real thing that I did. You know what I'm saying? And other little stuff like that happened where I was like, yo, I don't know what's going on right now, bro.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a wrap. Appreciate you, Jay.
Bro, appreciate you
Thanks
coming
for the
out
recap.
to the core studios. Man.
Looking forward to that next session you lead.
Yes, sir.
All right, brother.
All right.
Peace.